So you've got that shiny new camera and you're ready to go and capture some mind-blowing shots. Well, hold up. Before you throw your camera in your bag and you rush out the door, let me tell you about the worst mistake I see almost all beginner photographers make all of the time. And the mistake is not leveraging light. Trust me, if you can avoid making this mistake, you're going to knock decades off the time that it usually takes photographers to take great photos. So in this video, we're going to cover 6 game-changing tips on how to leverage light, plus a bonus that's going to show you what to do when you're shooting and the light is just terrible. So if you're ready to level up your photo game, let's dive right in. Now picture this, you're on a mountain. You spot the most amazing foreground rocks. You excitedly throw down your camera bag, you set up your tripod, and you realize that the sun is really high overhead, baking that light down from above, and everything looks flat and lifeless. That probably sounds familiar if you've ever tried landscape photography. And when I first started out, I thought great photos were all about the perfect subject. But here is the deal. Light is the most important thing in photography. Think about it, all that your camera is ever doing is capturing photons of light on the camera's sensor. And even better, the natural light that I spend most of my time doing photography in is free, it's versatile, and it's constantly giving you new looks. And when you learn to work with it, you can make your photos pop like nothing else. So rather than seeing a subject and just taking a general snapshot of it, try moving around the object. Look for vantage points where the light works in your favor. Maybe there's a place where the sun is behind the subject, creating a beautiful backlit effect. Or perhaps you can position yourself so the light is coming from the side of your frame, adding depth to your shots. And of course, if you're shooting outside, golden hour is always going to be your secret weapon. That's the hour just after sunrise or before sunset, where the light is soft and warm. It's like nature's Instagram filter. If you're indoors, why don't you try positioning your subject near a window? It's like having a professional lighting setup without having to spend $1. So next time you're out shooting, challenge yourself to stop, actually stop, and look at the light. Where is it coming from? How is it hitting your subject? And once you start seeing light this way, even the most ordinary scenes can become extraordinary. And speaking of extraordinary, let's take a look at how the quality of light can make or break your photos. Okay, so when I first started photography, I thought light was just, well, light, right? Bright means good, dark means bad, but oh boy, was I absolutely in for a surprise here. It turns out that not all light is created equal, and understanding light quality is like learning the difference between cooking with a microwave and having a gourmet chef cook you a meal. Light quality is all about how hard or how soft the light is. Hard light is like that friend who always tells you the brutal truth. It's harsh and it does not hide any flaws. Soft light is like that friend who always bigs you up and makes you feel good. It's flattering and it can smooth out imperfections. And you can often find harsh light and soft light in exactly the same environment. So if you're shooting on a bright, harsh day, why don't you try finding a little bit of shade? It's going to act like nature's softbox, diffusing that harsh sunlight. Or why not use a diffuser? It's basically like holding a tiny cloud in front of your light source if you're adding artificial light to a scene. But here is the plot twist. Sometimes hard light can actually be your friend. It can create dramatic shadows and high contrast that look stunning in the right situation. Think moody black and white portraits or abstract architectural shots. And one of my favorite techniques is to play with the transition between hard and soft light. You find a spot where the light is changing, like the edge of a shadow, and you position your subject there. You can have harsh light framing up your subject and then soft light actually projected onto them. And you can get the best of both worlds. So next time you're out shooting, take a moment to really look at the light. Is it hard? Is it soft? How are the shadows falling? And once you start seeing light this way, you're going to find that even the most seemingly boring scenes can actually become quite interesting. And before we dive into our next lighting secret, I want to let you in on something special. If you're loving these tips and you want to take your photography skills to that next level, I've got a treat for you. I've put together a set of photography cheat sheets, including one all about hard and soft light. And if you want to grab a copy of the cheat sheet, click the link that's in the description below. Okay, so now that we've unraveled the mystery of light quality, let's take a look at another crucial aspect of photography, the direction of light. Understanding where your light is coming from and leveraging that direction can completely change how you take photos. The direction of light dramatically changes the mood of the shot that you're taking. Let's break it down. Okay, so we've got front lighting. This is light coming from behind you, illuminating the front of your subject. This is great for showing details in a subject, but it can make your image look incredibly flat. Then we have side lighting, light coming in from the side of your frame. This is like lighting in a film noir movie. It can be dramatic, it can create shadows that are going to add depth and dimension. That's typically what you're looking for when you're doing landscape photography, for example. Then you have backlighting. This is light from behind your subject, creating a halo effect around them. It's tricky to get right, but when you nail it, it can look absolute magic. And here's an important tip. You're probably going to do some shooting in golden hour. And golden hour isn't just about that color of light. It's all about the direction that it's coming from. When the sun is low in the sky, it gives you gorgeous side lighting or backlighting without you having to put much effort into the lighting situation at all. That's why you're going to find 80% of my landscape photography is all during sunsets and sunrises. Because if you've got a half decent subject, everything else falls into place with that beautiful golden hour side lighting. But don't be afraid to experiment with changing the direction of light in relation to your subject. So the next time that you're out shooting, take a moment to really look at where the light is coming from and ask yourself, is this making interesting shadows? Is this adding depth where I want it? Is this flattening the image where I want it flattening? Once you start to leverage the direction of light, you're going to find that one scene can be many, many photos. Okay, so that's the direction of light. Now let's take a look at how we can perhaps use light a little bit more creatively. Now, I used to think that all great photos were about finding the perfect subject. But doing landscape photography, I very quickly found that a breathtaking vista view, it still looks a bit if there isn't amazing light to add some depth and character to the image. But once I discovered how to play with the light a little bit more creatively, it was like I'd been given a whole new set of superpowers. Let's start with silhouettes. And the first time that I accidentally captured one, it was like I'd discovered a secret level in a video game. They're so easy to use and incredibly powerful as well. All we're going to do is place our subject in front of a bright light source, like a sunset, or if you're in a studio, obviously a big, strong, powerful light. And we want to expose for the background, and voila, you've got a striking silhouette of your subject. Next up, we've got high key and low key photography. Low key photography uses mostly dark tones to create a moody, dramatic atmosphere. High key is all about bright, airy images with minimal shadows. Think of the difference between the two, like choosing between a cozy candlelit dinner and a bright sunny picnic. And here's a little secret for you. Once you start playing with creative lighting, you're going to start seeing potential photos everywhere. That boring corner of your living room, well, with the right light, it could actually be the perfect spot for a moody portrait. So next time you're out shooting, don't just settle for the light that is there in front of you. Think about how you can shape it, mold it, wait a little so the light changes, and how you can use it more creatively. Remember what I said at the top of the video, photography is all about capturing light. And who says we can't have a little bit of fun as we go about capturing it, right? And there is one other main variable of light that we need to cover. I remember back when I first got started with photography more seriously about 12, 18 months ago, when I thought that white balance was just some technical mumbo jumbo that only pro photographers ever cared about, and boy was I wrong. Understanding color temperature is like having a mood switch for your photos. Instantly, it can completely change the feeling of your image. And here's the deal. Different light sources have different color temperatures. Sunlight, fluorescent lights, candle lights, they all cast different colors on your scene and your subject. And if you've got your camera on automatic white balance, it's not always gonna get it right on its own. And you've probably experienced this, right? If you've ever taken a photo indoors and everyone in the scene looked absolutely orange, they had the Oompa Loompa effect going on. Or the inverse of this, you shot under fluorescent lights and everyone looked like they were auditioning for the latest Smurf movie. That is color temperature at work. And the good news is that once you understand it, you can use it to your advantage. If you want to make a sunset look even warmer and more inviting, just nudge your white balance to emphasize those golden tones. If you want to create a cool, moody atmosphere, perhaps in a city or in a blue hour landscape shot, then nudge your white balance towards the blue end of the spectrum. And here is a quick tip. Try shooting in raw file format if you want to manipulate the color temperature of your photos after the fact. Sure, you can try and nudge and pull and bend colors from a JPEG to get some of this effect, but absolutely you've got way more scope to manipulate color temperature with a raw file than you do with a JPEG. And well, some pro photographers don't like this, but I say don't be afraid to break the rules here. Who says a photo has to have a quote unquote correct white balance? Sometimes just nudging everything to make it look a little bit more pretty if it's not 100% accurate can absolutely be the right thing to do for an amateur photographer like you or I. So next time you're out shooting, take a moment to think about the color of the light. Is it adding to your image or is it detracting from it? And with just a little bit of practice, you're going to be able to see and control color temperature just like a pro. All right, at the top of the video, I promised you a bonus tip. Are you ready for it? Sometimes what we think is the worst light can actually be the best. You heard me right. Think about it, okay? We've all been told that we should avoid shooting at high noon in harsh light. But what if I told you that harsh midday sun could create some incredibly dramatic shadows for street or city photography? Or that a boring, cloudy, overcast day, often considered bad light, could be perfect for portraits. Heck, as a landscape photographer, I love to go out in the rain, the snow, general horrible conditions, because they can really add to the story of a photograph if you get a little bit of light shooting through all of that carnage in front of you. And if you can capture any of that in a landscape photography photo, it elevates your work because other photographers are just not willing to go out in those conditions. So the secret is to stop trying to fight the light and start working with it. It's like in martial arts, how you use your opponent's strength against them. If you've got harsh light, go create bold, graphic compositions. Dull flat light, perfect for bringing out subtle textures and colors. Remember, and I get this, right? I absolutely know this is a super cliche for some random dude on the internet in a YouTube video to say, but it's true. There's really no such thing as bad light. There might be light that doesn't fit with the image that you had in mind, but a skilled photographer can find an image almost 100% of the time in most locations. So next time you're faced with challenging lighting conditions, don't pack up and go home. Instead, ask yourself, how can I use this light more creatively? And there you have it. And if you want to dive deeper into mastering lighting photography, check out the video that's on screen right now. It's all about understanding the exposure triangle, and it's a great next step for your photography journey.